So am I going to try the Bun Burner 1500? Stay tuned and you'll find out. What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So this is the first video, I guess, since I'm back from Daytona and back from doing that 1162 mile Ironbutt challenge back from Daytona. It was absolutely crazy. And I first want to tell you guys, it was just unbelievable response in the comment section. Thank you so much to every single one of you guys that commented those awesome comments. I truly appreciate it. There was some comments in there really unbelievably well written comments, really long. But I got Silver back here a couple days ago, Friday. I actually washed her for the first time since coming back. It was beautiful out. I think it was about 70 something degrees. Took me about 4 hours. I really got down and dirty on her, and all the nooks and crannies, as you guys could see. It's really nice. I'm gonna put a cover on her so she doesn't get dusty. But what I wanna go over in this video is I'm gonna stay tuned because I have some really cool information to tell you guys here in a little bit, what I plan on doing. You guys might think I'm crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy. I'm at that point where if I don't do it, I don't think I ever will. And I think I need to do it. I think I want to do it as well. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over what I think is necessary if you guys want to ever take that challenge and go for it and actually try to do any one of the Ironbutts. Let's just say the Ironbutt Saddle Sore 1000. If you guys ever do want to try it, stay tuned for this video because I'm gonna basically tell you what I think you're gonna need. Should you do it? Should you not try to do it? What you're gonna need for the trip, maybe how to plan for it, and so forth. Let's start off by saying, if you guys, any one of you guys that are potentially going to or thinking about trying this, definitely think hard. It is difficult. There's a reason why they've made it the way they did. 1,000 miles in under 24 hours. Whether you do it in the winter time with not so much light, or whether you do it, I believe, June 21st, where the day is actually the longest, it's still hard because 1,000 miles on a bike in 24 hours, under 24 hours, it is hard. It is a tough task. So I'm gonna start off saying, if you're 19, 20, or in your 20s, 30s, it's going to be easier. That's without a doubt 100% is gonna be easier. I'm 50 years old this year, and I'm gonna say if you're in your 40s and 50s, it's gonna be tougher. And if you're in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you're still riding, it's gonna be really tough. I probably wouldn't recommend it. 70 and above, I don't know, but I can't say that for everybody because it all depends of what shape you're in. And I'm gonna start off this video by saying, if you have any kind of ailments, any kind of back issues, sciatic, that happened to me a couple years back. If you have any kind of problems like that, back issues, sciatic issues, I wouldn't recommend it because you're definitely going to have a problem. 1,000 miles, 24 hours, that length of time on a bike, that's just super difficult. It's super difficult even if you are at tip-top shape. So let's just get that out of the way. If you have any kind of ailments, any kind of problems, medical issues, definitely don't try it. It's not worth it. I wouldn't recommend or advise you to try to do a Saddle Sore 1000. So having said that, if you are planning on doing it, if you guys work out, I would definitely stay with your workout regimen. I work out at least 4 to 5 days a week to kind of keep your body in tip-top shape. So I would definitely strongly recommend that, having a workout regimen, just like for any other thing that you train for, whether it's soccer, baseball, whatever. This is kind of a feat where not a lot of people have done it. I think I said it before, and I think it's true. I believe it's only around 600 people that officially have done the Saddle Sore 1000, and there's a reason why, because it is very, very difficult. It is not easy. That's probably number one. Be in the best physical condition that you could possibly be in. Second and foremost, if you plan on doing it, I would definitely highly recommend not doing it like I did. I did it basically, I don't even want to say spontaneous. I wasn't even going to do it. I just wanted to get home. And then as I was going into my ride, I felt good and I just kept pushing and I said, hey, I'm almost there, and kind of just swung it. Thank God everything worked out. I had no mechanical issues. I had no physical issues, mental, nothing. Even though I went through 8-9 hours of rain, 9-10 hours of darkness at 40 and freezing temperatures, everything worked out. But if you're gonna do this, have it planned out. When I did it, it was actually really cold. And that's the one thing that actually kept me up. Even though I was cold and sometimes rather uncomfortable, it kept me up. So just to give you guys an example, I'm usually in bed, and this is no joke, I'm usually in bed every day at 10 p.m. I try to keep a set sleep schedule, so this way I try to get the best sleep possible every day. And I'm usually up like a rooster, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., maybe a little later, but usually around 5 a.m., I'm up every day. So this is very important because that has to come into play in how someone, if you're like myself, plans this out. Because if I was to plan it, being that I go to sleep at such an early time, because I do get sleepy, I do get tired at that time because I wake up early, I have to take that into consideration when I'm planning this ride to make sure that once that time comes, I'm probably going to get tired around that time. But being that it was cold on my Ironbutt, it was actually keeping me up. I was able to get to the hotel about almost 12 midnight. I went to bed for a couple hours and got up at 4 a.m. and was on the bike a little after 4:30 a.m. back on the road. So also take that into account, what time you're gonna be kind of getting tired. I would definitely recommend starting early, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. on the road, maybe an hour or two in darkness in the morning. The sun's gonna come up, you're gonna be riding all day, you're gonna have the longest amount of daylight on your trip. Like I said before, June 21st, I believe it's the longest day. So up from now to June 21st, the day's gonna get longer, and after June 21st, the day's gonna start getting shorter again. Being that it was cold, it was keeping me up. Again, I don't think I would recommend doing this when it's really, really hot out. Because I know myself, if I'm sitting in a room and it's really hot, think about back in the day when you were in school, you're sitting in a room, it's really hot, and there's no air conditioning, you get sleepy. So that's another thing I probably wouldn't want to do, is do it on a day when it's super, super hot, because I'm probably going to get more sleepy. You want to be comfortable, but you don't want to be so comfortable to where you're going to start literally falling asleep on the bike. I would say do it on a cool day, nice, refreshing day. Probably, I'm thinking for myself, 60s, something around 60s, 70s, low 70s temperatures, where it gets still a little bit cool at night, but not too cold. So I think those are the best temperatures to do the Saddle Sore 1000. All right, so I went over, physical condition. I went over kind of times, days. So that's basically yourself, talking about yourself, how I would prepare. Let's talk about the bike. You're definitely going to want to make sure that your bike is in tip-top condition. Fresh oil change, no issues with your brakes. Go over every single nuts, bolts, everything on it, fasteners, make sure everything is all tightened up. Your chain, if you have a chain drive, lube the chain. If you don't, either way, belt or chain drive, make sure that it is adjusted properly. If it is going to be chilly, I would also carry my Gerbing heated jacket liner and heated gloves with me in the box at all times, unless it's like summertime. And obviously I know the temperatures are going to be super hot. But if you do carry some heated gear, I always carry a little baggie of spare fuses, because sometimes those fuses go out. So this way I always make sure if I do blow a fuse, I have a spare fuse to replace. Carry a Leatherman. That will enable you to have some tools on it, maybe a small toolkit, a flashlight, 100%, some sort of pocket knife or knife. Very, very important, carry your rain gear. Whether or not, even if you plan it out, thank God I had my rain gear, 9 hours of rain, definitely carry your rain gear with you. Even though you plan it out, you're talking about 1,000 miles. You're covering a lot of space. You're going through several states. So definitely carry your rain gear with you in your saddlebag. So this way, even though, like I said, you plan it out and you don't see any rain coming, but you never know when a pop-up storm is going to pop up, and that would ruin your ride. If you get totally saturated, totally wet, you're definitely going to be super uncomfortable on your ride, and that would just make your ride miserable. I got wet, even though I had my rain gear on. My boots got wet, but other than that, I was literally totally dry. So definitely have your rain gear. Make sure you have a change, a different couple t-shirts with you, maybe an extra pair of socks, extra sweatshirt. Highly recommend a full face helmet. Do not try to do, there's no point in trying to do a Saddle Sore 1000 with a half shell. I wouldn't do it unless you do have a higher windshield. Even though this windshield blocks pretty much everything off my face and head, I would definitely not recommend doing it with a half shell, just for safety reasons. Definitely wear a full face. You'll be more comfortable. You won't have that wind hitting your face for 1,000 miles, 24 hours. You won't have the sun beating on you. It's just going to be definitely a totally more comfortable experience, and anything you could possibly do to make your 1,000 miles, 24 hours trip any bit more comfortable, I would definitely do it. Definitely have some comfortable jeans on, definitely have some comfortable boots on, make sure they're waterproof. I would also recommend putting your leather, if it is late spring, summer, early fall, definitely put your leather jacket definitely in the bags. I would even carry a set of long johns or some kind of type of Under Armour protection underneath your jeans, just in case you get chilly. So this way you have nothing that's going to stop you as far as whether it's you getting wet on the bike or you possibly getting cold. You have everything in your saddlebags. And don't forget, you don't have to, this ain't a trip for a week, so we're not packing heavy. You could pack everything up in both of your bags that you need, because it's only gonna take 24 hours and you'll be back home. So you don't have to, like I came back from Daytona, I had the sissy bar on, I had the cargo rack, I had all the luggage on the bike. My bike was literally loaded, but I didn't need to do that, but I had to, obviously, because I was coming back from Daytona. But if you're planning the Saddle Sore 1000, you're not going to need all that luggage. Everything you will need can definitely fit in your saddlebags. I would also highly recommend a tire pressure gauge and a mini air pump. I showed you guys the one I use, really small, battery operated. You could recharge it on a bike. This way, if your tires are a little low, make sure obviously you check them before you leave, but if your tires are a little low, you could always check them and fill them up to the correct pressures. Also, go over the entire bike. Make sure it's clean. Wash the damn bike before you guys leave. And not to say that, oh, the bike needs to be clean, but make sure your lights are clean. Make sure your mirrors are clean. Make sure the headlights clean. Make sure, because if you have a lot of dust on them, they might not be so bright. So that's very important. So make sure the entire bike is clean. It will definitely be better for people to obviously see you. Your lights will be more visible. I would definitely recommend that. So other huge things that were tremendously big on this journey, and I already went over them, but I'll go over them again. These Memphis Shades handguards right here are amazing. Like I said, I was in 9 hours of rain. I had a light glove on coming out of Florida. Being that my hand is here, and if you could see the handguard, it was literally pushing the air over my glove, bringing that rain right over with it. My glove was dry almost the entire time, unless obviously if you stop and you're not running 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and then obviously that rain's gonna come down and hit your glove. But if you're on the highway doing highway speeds, these work absolutely fantastic. And another reason is you don't wanna get beamed by a piece of gravel or rock or any kind of debris getting hit in the knuckles. So I would definitely recommend them. They are absolute beast. I love them. And what they also did was they blocked all that cold air coming straight onto my glove, which was awesome. It kept my hands a lot warmer. Let's go back to this seat right here. You don't have to buy this seat, but I'm just gonna tell you right now, if you're looking for a beautiful seat, sporty looking seat, Saddlemen, 100% the way to go. I had no issues. 1,000 miles. I did 1,162 miles. No issues. It literally felt just like people were saying. It felt literally like it was getting more comfortable as the hours went on. So I have no issues with the seat. It looks amazing. The style is beautiful. It's an excellent product. But if you're into some other seat, all I'm gonna say is make sure you have a comfortable seat. Third thing is suspension. If you guys are running stock suspension, it's just not good. If you're gonna go over a lot of bumps, depending on where you're doing your saddle sore, you could definitely run into a lot of trouble, especially in the northern states where you have snow and snow plows and they tear the crap up out of the roads. You're gonna be hitting bumps and potholes and everything else. So I would definitely recommend upgrading. I have the Legends cartridges in the front and we have the Revo arcs in the back. Just amazing, soaks everything up. I definitely would not even try myself. I wouldn't try if I didn't have the suspension. So that's, I would say, a definite must. Also, make sure you have a comfortable pair of bars. Make sure the bar positioning is comfortable. If you need to adjust anything, make sure you adjust the bars. Make sure you have great mirrors, because this is, like I said, a lot of people, and this is the truth, whether you like it or not, a lot of people buy these bikes and they don't even put 1,000, 2,000 miles on these bikes in a riding year. Really, that's the truth. They ride a little bit around town, they go on a little trip, and at the end of the year, they got 1,000 miles, 1,500 miles, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So having said that, this is basically, you're gonna be doing a Saddle Sore 1000. This is a lot of riding in a short amount of time. So need to make sure you have good mirrors, need to make sure they're adjusted properly, make sure whatever bars you have, that they're adjusted properly for you, whether you have to pull them back, push them forward a little bit. Make sure your comfort level on the bike is perfect, because you're not going to be able to make these changes once you start this Saddle Sore. You're not going to be moving bars in the middle of a Saddle Sore 1000. You understand? On the side of a rest stop or on the side of the highway. It's just not going to happen. So make sure your bars are positioned perfectly, your mirrors are positioned the way you need them to be. So this way you have the utmost comfort level on that. Fifth thing is, if you don't have heated gear, get it. I highly recommend the Gerbing heated gear. Always used it, always love it. It's on a harness, a Gerbing harness is on every single one of my bikes that I've ever had, that I ever will have. I could just take that heated jacket liner, hop from one bike to the other, plug it in, and it just works great, and there's no problem. Like I said before, the only thing I would highly recommend, take a couple fuses just in case one blows. I usually take out the stock fuse and put a 20 amp fuse in there, because I believe they come with a 5 or a 10. It's just not enough when you have your gloves running and your jacket. There's a tendency for that 5 or 10 amp fuse to pop. So you're kind of always taking off the seat and replacing that fuse. Since I've did the change to a 20 amp fuse, I never have an issue with the fuse blowing. So I would definitely recommend putting the 20 amp fuse in. Tires are super important. You're gonna be putting 1,000 miles on the bike, 1,000-mile ride. Make sure your tires are in great shape. Check them. Make sure there's no cuts. Make sure there's no defects in the tires. And if your tires are old, make sure you get a set of new tires. And this is another cool thing. I don't know anybody new to the channel or didn't see that video. I'm running the Michelin Commander 3 tires. Brothers, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, let me tell you, these are the best tires. There's no better tire than a Michelin Commander 3. I don't care what anybody says. In the rain, in slippery conditions, in the dry, what have you, they are the best tire. They have the best traction in the rain. I would definitely recommend them. And what I did was, I don't have any weights on the wheels. What Dave over at JD Cycles Works did for me, we added, I forgot what the fluid is called, but basically, let me show you. So I do a lot of mountain biking and stuff, and there's a fluid right there. So let me grab it. 1 second. So I'm just trying to give you an example. So I do a lot of mountain biking, and on a lot of basically all good mountain bikes, they put in a fluid. It's almost like a tubeless sealant. This is for mountain bikes, but it's the same principle. I forgot what the fluid is called from JD Cycleworks has it, Dave. What they do is when they mount the new tires, they take out the valve stem. He's got like a 5-gallon bucket of this stuff with a hose at the end, and they basically screws it onto the valve stem. And then there's, depending on the size of your wheel and tire, there's a chart that Dave goes by and basically tells them how many ounces to fill that wheel up with this fluid. So after he fills up the wheel with that fluid and then puts the valve stem back in, then he fills up that wheel with the correct amount of air pressure. There is no weights involved and there is no balancing involved. So what happens is basically that fluid, due to centrifugal force, it balances out the entire wheel perfectly. And I mean perfectly. There is no weights necessary or balancing. So as you're riding, due to centrifugal force, that fluid goes to the place of the wheel where necessary, and it just balances out the entire wheel. 80, 90, I don't want to tell you, over 100, no issues. Zero shake, absolutely zero. But the other good thing about it is if you do get a small puncture, small nail hole, screw in your tire, she's not gonna go flat, because what happens is that fluid starts escaping out of that tiny hole and basically seals it. And that's why they used it in mountain biking for a long time, and now it's becoming popular in motorcycle wheels and tires. So look into that, because I would definitely recommend that, because I would also recommend, if you don't have that fluid, bring a tire plug kit. But see, good thing about this fluid is, even though I would bring a tire plug kit, with this fluid, you're not going to need it. Obviously, it's not gonna work if you have a tear in a sidewall or a gigantic blowout. Obviously it's not gonna work. But if you do have a nail or a screw, it's gonna seal. So it's not going to end your ride. And if you're already, say you're already 800 miles into this Saddle Sore 1000 and you're almost there, oh man, can you imagine the feeling of something small like that getting in your way of finishing such a hard challenge? It would piss me off and I'd be upset. One of the biggest things I'm going to tell you guys again is lighting. Obviously, you guys know Zero 3D sponsors me, but honestly, I'm not BSing you. It has nothing to do with it, but it does, because this is the stock headlight. These are the Fang bezel lights. These are Zero turn signal lights running / daytime running lights in white. And this whole setup in the front with these lights are so bright, and it's so important because you're going to be riding for a long period of time at night. And it's very, very important to make sure you see everything. The one thing I was really worried about riding alone through Virginia, through North Carolina, for hours on end, through the mountains, by yourself on the highway, I wasn't worried about other cars. I was literally worried about a deer popping out that I wouldn't see in the distance, because most of the time they're grazing. You guys know this. Most of the time they're eating, they're grazing on the side of the grass, on the sides of the highway. And then what happens is they basically see, whether it's a car or whatever have you, they basically see that coming up. They get startled and then they brake across the road or across the highway. So that's what's scary. And that's what I was really worried about. I wasn't worried about the cars. I was worried about a deer. And I'm gonna get into more of that important information in a little bit. But that's why lighting's so important. If you don't have the correct lighting, good lighting that you could see far ahead, and especially in those darker places, you have to run your high beam. You just got to see what's up ahead of you. You don't want to be hitting a deer at 60, 70 miles an hour. That would definitely ruin your day. Another thing is in the back, very important. These Zero 3D lights, the saddlebag hinge lights, the machete lights here. They were literally lighting up this entire area. I literally had like a circle, a gigantic circle around the bike on the highway, which made me feel really comfortable. So if there was a car next to me, they were definitely gonna be able to see me if I wanted to turn, or if I didn't see them somehow, they're going to see my signal, hopefully beep and say, listen, dummy, don't turn because I'm in the lane, right? So just like a tractor trailer, right? Years ago, they didn't have the turn signals on the sides. It was a long time ago, obviously, but they didn't have the turn signals on the sides of the trailer. Now every, obviously, tractor trailer has the turn signals on the side, because if you're in the middle of a tractor trailer, I mean, years ago, you wouldn't be able to see it, because how are you gonna see the back lights if you're in the middle, on the side in the middle of a tractor trailer? But now you can see that. So that's kind of basically the same idea, where if you have your turn signal on, it's not only coming from the back, it's coming from the side. So people are gonna be able to see you. Very important. Also, the stock lights, no good. They're not bright. They're not LED, for one thing. They're not bright. You don't want to start this trip with any kind of incandescent bulb lighting system on your bike. You don't want to be carrying bulbs. They blow out. It's a pain in the ass. You definitely want to upgrade your lighting system to an LED lighting system. So another thing is, like I said, the stock lighting components on a Harley, they're just not bright. And this is one of the worst things. When you have your bike turned on and you have your running lights on, when you squeeze the brake, the difference from running light to brake light, it's almost not there. There is no difference. It's very, very hard to see, especially at nighttime, and especially if, say, the bike is in front of you quite a ways, a distance. You don't see a difference. Let me tell you something on this. When I just have the running lights on, oh man, you could see me literally from a mile away, up ahead. But when I hit the brake light, it gets even 3 times brighter. So that's why I was super comfortable, and I had a lot of confidence about people not hitting me in a bike. Let me tell you, when you're comfortable and confident on the bike doing this trip, it is going to save your ass, for one, and it's going to relieve a lot of that stress that's on your mind while you're riding. And you don't want to be mentally fatigued, because mental fatigue, I would say, is probably worse than physical fatigue. So lighting system, a must. And that's on top of having a good seat, good suspension, heated gear, Memphis shades, handguards, right up there on top. I would say suspension, lighting, probably number 1, including seat. Those 3 are definitely top 3. So another thing, when you're riding, I wanted to get back to that. When I'm riding on the highway, I'm never, if the speed limit is 65, I am never ever going slower than the posted speed limit. Number 1 is, if the speed limit is 65 and I'm going 55, that means cars are flying by me at 75, 20 miles an hour faster. There's no way, because that just gives somebody the opportunity of whacking you right in your ass. And I'm not doing that. That's just not how I ride. If the speed limit is 65, I'm doing 75, 80 at some points. This is how I ride. I'm not telling you guys how to ride, but this is just how I ride. And not only my riding style, but due to safety. So I'm either riding faster than the speed of traffic. I'm never, ever staying next to a car or a truck or a tractor trailer. Never, ever. Why? It's happened 2 years ago. We're riding, tractor trailer in front of me, the whole wheel and tire assembly rip off the truck, start rolling down the highway. And let me tell you something. A tractor trailer wheel and tire, probably, I don't know, I want to say a good 200 pounds. I'm thinking, if I'm mistaken, hit me up in the comments. For you truckers out there, it's freaking heavy. But let me tell you this. If it's rolling 60, 70 miles an hour on the highway, you guys probably seen the damage that it can cause to a car. When it hits a car or a car head on or anything like that, it literally, it's an explosion. So you have 200 pound mass rolling at 60, 70 miles an hour that hard, it'll total any car out. So that's why I don't stay behind any car, truck, tractor trailer. I don't stay next to them, or I don't ride in front of them. I'm passing them. I leave them. So I'm never close to anything that's going to happen. I see a lot of cars and motorcycles staying next to a tractor trailer. I'm like, I don't even care if I'm in a car. I don't want to be in the next to a tractor trailer. God forbid the tractor trailer, his rig blows out a front tire, and that thing's, he blows out a front tire, that whole tractor trailer is going to cock to the left and it's going to start dragging him left into me. There's no way. So you gotta use your head, guys, right? So this is kind of like, it's basically, you're trying to stop accidents before they even start. You're trying to think ahead, plan ahead. You have to be 3 steps ahead of the game. And that's how to survive. And that's how you are going to survive. So do faster than the speed of traffic. Don't stay next to any cars. Stay away from big tractor trailers, because anything that's going to happen on a tractor trailer, it's going to be big. It's not going to be small. It's going to take out a big size, big area. So you don't want to be next to them. So just move along. Go about your business, move along, never stay close to them. So also other things to plan. You want to be well rested. You don't want to be drinking nights before, the day before. Forget about that cockamamie garbage. Forget about that. Be fresh, be well rested 2-3 nights prior. Get your sleep in. Make sure that day you're going to do the Saddle Sore 1000, you wake up in tip top shape, that you had excellent sleep, that you feel refreshed. Make sure you pack a bunch of drinks with you. Make sure also that you pack some good foods with you. And when I say good foods, I usually I have a keto diet, so I primarily eat very, very low carbs, high protein foods. But what I did on the Saddle Sore 1000, and I'll tell you why, I basically ate a lot of sugary foods. I think I had a bunch of coffees. I had a Reese's peanut butter bar. I had, what else did I have? I had a McDonald's double quarter pounder with cheese. I had a lot of fatty foods. I had a lot of foods that had a lot of sugar in it, only because I wanted that boost of energy and the coffee to keep me up. I didn't want to get tired. So you're going to want to eat foods like that on the trip. If you don't, it's not going to keep you up. It's not going to give you that energy. If you eat a very low sugar diet, a very low carb diet on that trip, you're not going to do well. You're going to get very tired. You're going to get very sleepy. So I would definitely recommend coffee, caffeine. Definitely recommend some sugary snacks. Definitely recommend some protein with high fat content foods with you. Probably better to pack the food with you before you go, so this way if you do stop for gas, when you do have to stop, you're just picking up some coffee, maybe a drink, bring some water. Obviously you're not going to want to drink gallons of water, because that means you're going to have to stop before you refuel. That's another issue. That's going to be a timing issue where you might get into trouble making the time. So definitely pack accordingly. As far as some snacks and foods go, it'll definitely be important, because at a lot of these rest stops, a lot of these gas stations that you're gonna have to stop in the middle of nowhere potentially, they might not have anything. I would even recommend bringing a thermos full of coffee, nice good homemade coffee, because I did have like 1 or 2 stops where it was, I don't even know how they called it coffee, you know what I'm saying? It was like mud. Bring that along, set that up for yourself, so this way you have the proper beverages and snacks with you. And I guess I went over everything: the bike, yourself, take care of yourself, the food, the snacks, the bike. I guess the last thing I'm gonna talk about is route. So I'm gonna tell you this, guys, right now. I just did the Saddle Sore 1000. I felt good. I did it in probably some of the worst conditions that you could probably do it in. I'm gonna tell you right now, in a couple weeks, stay tuned, I'm doing the Bun Burner 1500. That's right. And I think I'm going to try the trifecta, which is this: the Saddle Soar 1000 miles in under 24 hours. And then we're gonna try to do the Bun Burner 1500, which is 1500 miles in under 36 hours. But then there's a third thing which could possibly take place, which is the Bun Burner 1500 Silver, which is doing that 1500 miles, but not in 36 hours, within 30 hours. So I could possibly have a trifecta. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna wait a couple weeks for the weather to get better, for the daylight for the day to get kind of longer, so I have more daylight. But I'm definitely gonna do it, because having done this, I'm really realizing that if I don't do it now, if I wait a couple years, I'm not gonna want to do it, because honestly, as we get older, everything gets harder, right? So I'm gonna try it now. I'm gonna try the trifecta. If I can't do the trifecta and hit that Bun Burner 1500 Silver, I definitely want to get a second Saddle Soar 1000 in, and I'm definitely shooting for, the main thing is that Bun Burner 1500 miles in under 36 hours. That's gonna be hard, but I'll tell you one thing. If I had like a destination, if I lived another 340 miles away, I probably could have made it that day. I definitely could have made it that day. I probably had another, 11 and a half hours to reach 36 hours, and I only needed probably about another 340 miles to go. I could have definitely done it. So it's definitely possible. Is it hard? Absolutely. But we're gonna try it. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna let you guys know here in a couple weeks, probably I'm thinking April, I'm gonna try it. And this is where I'm going to try to do it. I'm gonna go here from northern New Jersey. I'm gonna go north towards like Niagara Falls, and then I'm just gonna go west through New York State, beautiful, beautiful country roads, go through New York State, through Vermont, through New Hampshire, into Maine, go up as far as I have to get the 1500 miles that I'll need coming back home from the tippy top of Maine, maybe close border Canada, and then coming back down to northern New Jersey here back home. So I'm gonna plan that route in the next couple weeks. I'm gonna make it so when I leave the house, I'm going to have 1500 miles or over, and I make it back home in under the 36 hours. So stay tuned for that, guys. I'm definitely friggin' doing it 100%. So stay tuned. If you guys have any questions, or if I missed something on this video, hit me up in the comments and let me know. But I think I covered everything. She is washed, ready to go. We have a big schedule coming up for this year. We have Sturgis, we have Americade, we have Laconia, we have the BDR. We have so much, and we might have something else huge for the channel, so stay tuned. So thanks for watching, guys. And like I said before, thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you so much for those awesome comments on the last video. I hope this video will help anybody, any one of you guys or gals. If you guys are trying to do the Saddle Soar 1000, I hope this video helps. The engine, whew, let me tell you, Dave really did his work with this beautiful 130 T-Man performance motor. Oh, the fuel mileage, let me tell you something. I think it actually gets better gas mileage than a stock 114. That's not even a joke. Better, because the bike is just so well tuned. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.